Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I found myself repeating that empowering quote 24 hours after hearing it while navigating a small dilemma in my own life. My guest, Dr. Stephanie Ganter, is a board-certified periodontist and implant surgeon who, in the middle of building a successful career, made a decision most people never saw coming. She went to law school. Now, she also says, achievement alone doesn't create fulfillment. So this conversation is about the identity shifts that high-achieving women go through when the version of success they spent years chasing suddenly stops feeling like enough. Stephanie shares such an honest perspective on ambition, fulfillment, and learning how to listen to yourself instead of constantly performing for the next achievement. Something tells me this conversation is going to resonate with a lot of you the way it did with me. Find the full transcript at inspiredmommds.com/99. Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Inspired Mom MDs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Cindy Van Prague. I help physician moms take back control of their time and energy so they can prioritize what matters most and thrive at work and at home. In each episode, I bring you honest conversations, inspiring stories, and practical strategies, including interviews with incredible women who are redefining success on their own terms. Let's listen in. Hi, and welcome back to the Inspired Mom MDs podcast. Today's conversation is one I think so many high-achieving women will recognize themselves in. I am joined by Dr. Stephanie Ganter, a board-certified periodontist and implant surgeon who, at the peak of her clinical career, made a decision that most people do not see coming. She went to law school. What makes Stephanie's story so compelling is that her career shift reflects a question many high-achieving women may be wrestling with, and that is this what success is supposed to feel like, or is there more? And what unfolds from there is a much bigger conversation about identity and fulfillment and the often subtle moment that many women may reach when they realize they might want something different from the life that they worked so hard to achieve. Stephanie, I am really excited for this conversation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I am so honored to be on your show. And like I said, I've been talking to my colleagues about it, and they are all pumped to listen to this as well. The topic today is it is so applicable to so many women. I find that females who are in healthcare are high achievers, and they love to work themselves right to the max. So I feel like this is going to be the perfect topic for the perfect day.
Yes. And and I see you're at work today. Thank you
I
for
am
carving out
being
a time.
I'm being an example here. Yes.
Yes. So if you could just bring us all up to speed. I mentioned you're you're in law school, but just bring us up to speed on this part of your life. What happened
Yeah.
before law school?
Yeah, sure. So I have gone through many identity phases in life. I think like most of us, I guess maybe perhaps not. When I was about 12, that's when I started identifying as a student athlete. I excelled at athletics pretty naturally, and I found a home there. It was safe. I felt like I was good at it. That's where I made my friends. And so for the next roughly 12 years, I strongly identified as a student athlete. And there are some blessings to that and some baggage. One of the blessings is that you're sought after. You gain confidence that you may not have otherwise gained at that age, and you're rewarded academically, financially, and otherwise. The baggage is a lot of that confidence is built up on external affirmation, and therein lies the problem. And so as you go through your 20s, you have this confidence, but as the world tests you, as life tests you, as it invariably will, you realize that it's really the internal affirmations and the internal confidence that gets you through life's toughest challenges and propels relationships. So starting as a student athlete, I went to NCAA Division I college on a full ride track and field scholarship. I was a bio major and it felt like I had a full-time job. I didn't feel like I could lose races without the fear of having my scholarship pulled. And that was tough. Even whether that was real or perceived pressure, I would be in bed in college like every night by 8:39. I was not partying. I had my first sip of alcohol when I was in dental school. That was wild. Think about having your freshman college experience and have it in your professional school. I would not recommend it to most. It can be real tricky. So I go through dental school. It was the first time I was not competing, so that was an identity shift. I didn't feel good about myself, so I replaced that as any normal person would do, which with going out and drinking and trying to find relationships and friendships through those avenues. And I was a great student. I had good habits, and so those habits got me through. But man, it was not the way to go. And then I decided, I wanted to go specialize, and so therein lied a different identity shift. I was married between dental school and residency. Again, it works for some people. I don't know if I'd recommend it. And as I graduated residency, I shifted identities again into a business owner and somebody who's trying to suddenly grow a social arm that I've never had. When you're an athlete and a student, you get to focus on you, or it really is just about you. And so if you're mad, sad, happy, angry, it doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks. And I found out very quickly when I became a business owner and in private practice, gosh, all of that matters so much more than how you are personally perceiving how you're doing. And so that's where I'm at. Now introduce law.
Wow.
Yeah.
So being so young when
Hmm.
you got into being a student athlete, it sounds like kind of took away those transitional years that you did
Well
have a
said.
chance you had a
Yeah.
chance to do later.
100%. And I
Oh
always
my
told
goodness.
myself, Cindy, I was always like, you know what? I'm going to do that later. I'm going to do
Yeah.
you can drink at any age. I'm just going to start my teenage
Yeah.
drinking when I'm 30. It's okay.
Fair. Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was a big mismatch. And I tell people this all the time. You can grow your academic brain and you can grow your socio emotional brain, but you can't do it at once. And you got to figure out which phase of life you're in. And so right now, for the first 6 years of private practice, I really was catching up on that emotional intelligence and those social skills that
Mhm.
my confidence said was like, oh, yeah, I got this. But the outputs from my environment were telling me that I needed improvement.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned a number of identity shifts from
Yeah.
12 up till now. And I've noticed a lot of women describe at this moment, this pivot to a different part of their career, they've experienced fear, resistance, hesitation. It sounds like you just flowed through all of these shifts. How do you make that transition, that change?
I ride motorcycles. And
Uh,
so it allows,
Explain how that works.
it may not have solved the problem, but it might give you some
Yeah.
perspective on how I make decisions in life. I may go with the flow kind of gal. And I found that one of my greatest teachers has been my mom, actually. And the reason is because even though we fought, I strongly looked up to my dad now when I was growing up. I wanted to be like him, but I learned the most from my mom. And the reason is because she was very open with how she went about just how she did life and some of the choices she made, and especially when me and my brother came into their lives. And so I grew up firsthand seeing some of the consequences of a strong, powerful woman like my mom, perhaps not putting herself first all the time.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to make sure that no matter what I did in life, I put myself first. And that role model in her kind of gave me the push to get over some of those well-founded fears. You mentioned
Mhm.
fear when you go through
Mhm.
these identity shifts. That's what makes them messy, Cindy. Like that's why relationships get they get broken sometimes, or they have to bend and then reform, is because as you go through these shifts of who you are, what you want, you grow and you change. And if some people they don't like that, or their safety zone is comfort, then there's going to be some friction there. And so for me, I 100% agree with you that fear is a huge part of this equation. But my why is largely my mom. And so it just pushes me forward.
Mm. You hit the crux of it. You go back to your why.
Yeah.
And I love how your mom was such a strong role model, in addition to your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love them both,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta bless the moms out there.
100%.
Yeah. And we were talking the other day offline, and you mentioned something really powerful. You described this idea of control versus dependence. Can you break that down for us?
Yes. This is one of the fundamental aha moments for me, was this idea that we are in control of our lives. In a lot of ways we're not, but there's a lot of opportunity for women, high achievers, to be more in control of their life than they think. There is a common saying, we're all living in a cage with the door wide open. All we got to do is step out into that brave unknown. And that's the sense of control that I come back to and I center on, because if you're not in control, then you're probably in a state of dependence, whether that is dependence on a job, or dependence on a relationship, or a dependence on a mindset. Staying inside that comfort zone will inevitably make you dependent on something or someone. And although dependence can be good in some aspects, it can encage us. There are so many strong, powerful women out there that they just need that extra motivation, that extra push to take back control of their lives. Whether that is starting a private practice, or whether that's just carving out 30 minutes of your day for you, that can be a huge lever on control. One of the things, Cindy and I both did the Integrative Medicine Fellowship through the Andy Weil Center for Integrative Medicine. And one of the first things we learned was healing the healer. That's a state of control. A lot of what we know, a lot of the chronic inflammatory diseases come from chronic stress. The body senses naturally when you have lost that control. And I know many more women than I do perhaps men that come home and they're exhausted. They are done. And then somehow they shift in this extra gear and run a family. I become more and more impressed by women that I see and what they're capable of. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I think that women need to work on taking control of their own lives, carve out that personal time, and slow it down, which is what I find myself working on currently, is trying to carve out that time. If I'm not intentional about it, in my family, there's a lot of inflammatory diseases that run rampant. And I mean, I'm already saddled with one. And so it is so important for me to control my diet. It's important for me to control my stress levels. And yeah, I can't do endless cardio to make it go away.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, we're all living in a cage with the door wide open. You got to
Mm.
figure out how to step out.
Hmm. And just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right, which a lot of people, I say that, and then they say, Steph, why in the world are you doing law school? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I go, I love that.
Hmm.
Hold me to the fire on these things. Absolutely love it. So, one of the reasons that I find that law school has been a positive addition is I love options. Options in life bring happiness, in my opinion. One of the things we know as providers and clinicians is that patients can be exhausting. Healthcare is not, it is a passion of mine for sure, but it's not the end all be all for me. I love having multiple definitions of success. And one of the things with law that I found more balancing than just inflammatory, if you will, is that it's the liberal arts side of academia that I've never had before. I'm a biology major. I have taken sciences like all my life. And
Hmm.
these are the first I used to love English. These are the first, and it's not English classes, but this is the first real, government classes. I'm figuring out how our legal system in the United States works for the first time, how it works in Texas for the first time. And I've always thought knowledge is power, and there's a comfort in that, especially as we step into a digital age where our future is a little bit, it's not that it's uncertain, but we're going to step into a brave new world over the next decade or two. And I felt like law is a really good option for me at this point for a balancing factor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your thirst for knowledge, I really resonate with that. And I'm just amazed. The older I get, the more I realize I don't know, and how exciting it is to learn these new subjects. It's like
So
what this
well
has
said.
been around for like decades and I didn't know it.
I'm the same way. I mean,
Yeah.
some of my first classes, I'm doing property and contracts right now, and I'm like, oh man, I used to think I was smart, and then I am in my 1L year, and Cindy, I do not feel like a very smart person right now.
Well, it's all new. It's new information, but you're gonna
100%.
be able to
Yeah, but
conquer
that's the
it.
best thing.
So I'm hearing you define success for you as having different options and different avenues to pursue and fulfilling this thirst for knowledge. Well, other people, it is both good, may be completely content with one avenue, and that's fine. So we're not saying you need to have multiple avenues and multiple options to
No,
be fulfilled. It's just it comes down to your own personal why. What
100%.
is it that fulfills you? And that is what is important. I'm so glad you're sharing what fulfills you so we can see a different perspective.
I love that, Cindy. And that sense of fulfillment is so unique to the individual. And
Mhm.
one of the things that as I try to organize my life and as I try to again try to carve out those minutes in the day is when you start to talk about fulfillment, you're talking about sources of internal affirmation, things nobody else can touch but you. You can choose to be happy in a moment's notice, even if the whole day has been a series of just nonsensical moments all tied together and you can't really figure out why that day was going. You can be 100% fulfilled by sitting with those feelings, sitting with what you personally want to achieve in that day, which could be as profound and yet simple as having peace.
Mhm.
I heard a story recently. Everyone know, or not everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with the storyline from Harry Potter. And the actor that plays Ronald Weasley, super successful guy, never thought his acting career would take off and he would get this role as Ron Weasley. But now he is done with this show. And you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to open an ice cream truck. That was his teenage dream. And so he is
Mhm.
going back and he says that he is more fulfilled pursuing something that truly mattered to him, that maybe to everybody else seemed nonsensical. But to see that guy smile, with him, he's in his ice cream apron and he's got his own thing. That is
Yeah.
fulfillment. And that has nothing to do with degrees. That has
Mhm.
nothing to do with success. And quite frankly, it wouldn't have even made the paper with the exception of who he is.
Yeah.
That's fulfillment. That's what I aim for personally. That
That's
smile.
a that's a great story. Great story. Ron Weasley. Well,
Love him.
what's the actor's name? I don't know what the actor's
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that
Yeah, we'll
one,
have to
but
edit that one in.
I don't have room for that fact in my
Yeah.
brain.
I have no more
Um,
space.
no more space now. So you touched on this, just a hint of this about energy. I read an article you wrote, loved it, absolutely loved it. I can't remember where I found it. Maybe you can tell us at the end, where you talk about protecting your energy, um, and that you had to unlearn some things about productivity to make your
Mhm.
current life sustainable. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I love the question and thank you for reading my article. I hope it did not put you to
Yeah.
sleep.
No, it was so good.
Thank you so much. Yes, so energy. I have always been a super sensitive person. And I realized recently that it doesn't make one weak. The weakness is in not knowing thyself. And so the weakness is not honoring that sensitivity within you. I thought I was this big, bad athlete that could feel no pain and like I could push through anything, but I wasn't honoring myself. And I had to look at emotions and energy as not a weakness, but a strength and something to be not fulfilled, but just and not controlled, but just to resonate within myself and have grounding. And it's my version of spirituality is getting in touch with that energy. There is a concept called congruence and alignment. And in some teachings, you will hear that if your internal sense of being is out of alignment with your external facial expressions, what you're saying, when you walk into a room, I know people talk about power stances, but when you walk into a room and you don't feel good, if you feel truly scared and if you feel threatened and anxious, you can have those power stances, but the energy within you is going to permeate. Instead, I push myself and others to sit with these feelings. Don't put a cap on them, but experience them in their fullest and celebrate them. If you're anxious before a meeting or if you're anxious before some kind of an event, that's something to be celebrated. That's normal. Guess what? There's a lot more people anxious in there the minute you walk in the room because you're probably eliciting certain energy in them. If you keep your attention outward, if you focus on the human being in front of you, and if you focus on their facial expressions, what the information that they're giving you, that's going to help have grounding energy, and the exchange will be much more fruitful than if just you look inside yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, Cindy's looking at me right now, and she probably notices that pimple that showed up this morning, and there's no way I can continue onward. None of that's right. Instead, I see a big, beautiful smile on Cindy's face. She's conveying peace and, and love and gratitude. That's going to be the connecting energy. That's what women need, especially within or between each other, is finding a way to turn your attention outward. And by the way, that's also how you can dominate a room quicker than anything else is by turning that attention outward.
Mm, well said. Yes, people can feel your energy, see your energy. And I also like that you've touched on feelings more than once now and sitting with your feelings. And I was just listening to something about Stoicism this morning, and it was about feelings. So interesting that you brought this up. But yes, you have feelings and they come and go like clouds. And you can sit with them and you can stare at them and see what you pick out in the cloud, or you can let them go by. But what we have control over as human beings is our judgment about those feelings and what we decide to do with them. And it's interesting how our judgment about our own feelings can help control our emotions. And this isn't my own brain coming up with this. I just listened to this morning. So
So well
isn't that
said.
fascinating? But
Oh,
it's
I
really
love
neat
it.
that you bring up feelings
I love
today.
that you bring up judgment. I
Mhm.
I used to, if I was having a problem, and I can say it super calmly now, but in the moment, my 16-year-old self, it definitely didn't come up calm. But if I was
Mhm.
having a problem with how somebody was relating to me or how I was coming across, whether I was coming across super sharp, or I got my eyebrows going, I got that, that killer look going. I always would judge the situation and I would, in my head, I'd be like, can't they see that I hate myself more than anything? Why are they also piling on and hating me? And
Mhm.
guess what? The world doesn't necessarily see that. What they see is that, again, kind of going back to energy, they see you projecting that judgment onto them when really it's actually all that judgment was really just what you've been judging your own emotions by. When I used to, I love my dad, and in my family, I come from a very big family. And if any of my cousins happen to listen to this podcast, they know what I'm talking about. I got a million cousins.
Mhm.
We don't share emotion. I was asked to speak at a funeral because they said, "Yeah, I don't think Steph will cry." That's not good. That's not normal.
The
Uh,
badge. Yeah.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry. You give me a script, it's gonna go waterworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, crying's a superpower. I tell a lot of women that it is okay to cry. It may not be socially acceptable in certain rooms. You may have to pick and choose the rooms you cry in, but anything in my office, I'm like, hey, tears don't bother me. Yeah, there's a study as we talk about judgment of our own emotions in the animal kingdom. I think we had one of our classmates maybe have posted this or maybe did a study on this. I can't remember. But talking about people that shake during a stressful encounter, you think you know what I'm talking about, Cindy, where
Yeah.
there was a study done in a war-torn country, and the researcher stood in the bomb shelter and recorded the different reactions from a infant to the mother, the adults in the room, and then the teenagers in the room in this bomb shelter. The bomb started to go. So that was the stressful inducing event. The child shook, but then was fine. The kids they saw would shake a little bit, cry a little bit, but then stop. They were socially trained to stop. You looked at the adults in the room, they were stone cold, flat affect. Visual displays of emotion have been socially trained out of us, largely by the time we are 30. It is not appropriate to cry, and there are double standards for men and women. But a lot of that is because we judge ourselves. We judge ourselves for being sad or happy or to this or to that. Now I name it, and if it's the appropriate setting, man, I show it in a controlled way. And sometimes I just got to let it out and sit with it. And then it passes, to your point, like a cloud. But that judgment held me back for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for putting that in perspective. And if I find that study, I'll put it in the show notes for
Please
sure.
do. Shout out.
I'll find it. I'll find
I'll
it.
find it. I'll try to
I
look for
will.
you too.
Yeah, yeah, we'll find it. We'll get it to you guys.
Yeah.
As we close up today, I could talk to you for hours. Any final words of wisdom, tidbits? What's on your brain that you want to share?
Give gratitude for the day and try to be as happy as you can for where you are in the moment. And that may not mean that you are doing the most. It may not mean that you're doing the least, but try to remind yourself that the little kid in you worked really hard for you to be where you're at. And gosh darn it, if you're not going to enjoy it, uh, find a way to smile about however the day ended up. I'm someone who gets intimidated very easily by others, which may come as a surprise, may not. But I have really been intentional in the last 12 months to 2 years about trying to be real happy with just where I am at and what I am doing instead of being preoccupied by the next bigger fish or someone who comes in with amazing makeup. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they look so beautiful. That would be my take home. My 2 cents is for women is that y'all are amazing. And there is some uniqueness about you that nobody else has. Honor that.
Thank you, Stephanie. How can people reach out to you? They want to talk
if
to you more.
if you want to talk more, you can find me on Instagram at Ganter, GANTER, as in Stephanie, R as in Renee. You can also email me and we can put it in the notes. I have a long email, so I won't muddy the
Okay.
chat with this. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cindy. You are fantastic. I've got to say, I loved my time with you and the fellowship, fellow Texan. Shout out to that. And gosh, I love that you're doing this podcast. I love that you're a female doing it and you're taking time out of your busy schedule. You are an entrepreneur. You are someone who does not, to me, does not fear failure. And that is inspiring. We can all learn from that.
Mm. Oh, Stephanie, you gave me chills. Thank you.
You
And
deserve it.
Stephanie is a fellow podcaster also. So shout out to your podcast. Give us the name real quick.
Yes, at B, the number two teeth. We thought that between two teeth during the pandemic was funny. And so
It is. It still
that's what we
is.
went with. Yes. And so we go around, we're going to be at a conference in Florida this coming June, I think. So yeah, follow the journey. We're excited. We usually go on motorcycle rides and have a lot of fun doing it. So yeah,
Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, I have to let you go. You have to get back to work. So thank you.
appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you for tuning in today to Inspired Mom MDs. If this episode resonates with you, please share with a friend who may benefit too. And I humbly ask you to please leave a review so other Dr. Moms can find me too. And just a quick reminder, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for medical advice or care. I'm a board-certified physician, but this content isn't connected to my clinical practice and no doctor-patient relationship is formed here. Please always talk to your own health professional about any mental or physical health concerns. Please see inspiredmommds.com for full disclaimer.